So art, am I right?
Yeah.
Art-tastic.
For those of you who've never listened to us before, Joe is a world famous artist.
Whoa.
He is world renowned.
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 He's taking some liberties.
Yeah.
He's but he's got a little thing going on. He does little shows and gigs here around the country, professional football games, some college stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of charity work.
Mhm.
And so art, am I right?
You are right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up though, because it's funny enough. I mean, Greg and I both have our art pads out. We've been doing some inking and a little bit of sketching, a little
Tattoos.
bit of, yeah. Well, yes.
You're inking each other.
That's kind of funny. That would be hilarious.
That would be actually pretty funny.
We should try it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Do a face
No, Ken, you'll
tattoo.
be our first.
Me?
Yeah,
Okay.
prospect.
I'm so glad we're
We'll practice.
doing an audio only podcast on
All of a sudden
tattoos.
you-
Yeah.
Well, I was just mentioning to him because this happened yesterday. I have a sailboat down in Charleston,
Yeah.
and whenever it was towards the end of last year when the hurricane came through, the big one,
Yeah.
it got beat up pretty good, and it's still floating and it's fine. But there were some things that were broken on it that are required to sail the boat, for it to be seaworthy.
Okay.
So I've been working with insurance. Fortunately, it was insured.
Like hazard lights and
There's no hazard lights. Okay. But, I could add some
tires.
yeah, your registration.
little different pieces that are involved with keeping the mast up. So
Okay.
pretty important that doesn't tip over.
Right.
So I got all those and that was fine. Insurance was working with me on that. One of the things I was stuck with was 2 of my sails were shredded in the storm.
Ooh.
So you have on a sailboat, you have a main sail and then you have a head sail.
The aft.
Well, that would be in the back. Yeah, the main sail would be the aft sail, I guess. Well, you're
Okay.
confusing me now.
Wow. Now I'm all like,
I feel like I know nothing
I
about
know, he
sailboats
does that to
anymore.
you.
No, I'm just throwing out things that I know and
You just
hoping
know
they
aft.
stick.
Yeah.
just throwing it at the wall. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So the two sails on the front, one is called a Genoa or a Genoa, and the other one is the Storm Jib, which is a much smaller sail. Anyway, that's kind of pointless. But they both got really torn up in the hurricane, and sails are expensive. So insurance covers it, but the bigger problem is the lead time for new manufactured sails is like 6 months.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So the problem is
And there's no motor on it at all.
no,
right?
there's a diesel engine. in
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But my plan is to take the boat down to Florida to get some repairs done because it's kind of a legacy brand boat. It's not a boat that you would take to, Jim Bob's Boat Repairs.
Yeah.
It's the boat's called an Island Packet, and you have to take it to somebody who knows their way around that particular boat. So there happens to be a guy in Stuart, Florida, who's world renowned, like Joe.
Oh, like Joe.
Like Joe.
The world renowned artist.
World renowned.
But his art is repairing sailboats, specifically Island Packets, and it's a big deal for resale value.
Mm-hmm.
When you have any kind of substantial structural work done, is that it's done by someone who's trusted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have a hard time selling it.
You have to have a full history of the boat.
Exactly.
I would assume, if you want to sell it, just like you would a car. Like
Totally.
it had the belts changed 20,000 miles. And
Oh
this
yeah,
and
you
that,
keep a
and-
captain's log every time you change the
wow.
oil. It's.
Are you a captain?
I'm not a certified captain. I mean, anyone who owns a boat and drives it is basically
We
a
need
captain.
to redo the intro. Captain.
Captain Greg.
Oh,
Captain
we're
Greg.
totally putting
Captain
that.
Canadian.
So you're
Captain
Canadian?
Clay.
You're
No.
Canadian?
C.
Yeah.
YK.
Born in Canada?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Stayed in Canada for a while?
Nah, I've been in the States since I was 5.
Okay.
So,
You have
but
a
I'm
few
still a
years there,
Canadian
yeah.
citizen. I have a green card and all that.
Wow. Yeah.
I never did the old, swear allegiance to the
Wow.
U.S. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just didn't care.
Get
to.
rid of him.
Get him out of here.
Let's
Yeah.
get him out of here.
Anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt your sales.
Oh,
story.
yeah.
Sales.
So-
They're all torn up.
I was telling Joe,
telling
this
it
was
to
a
the
big blessing
reputable guy.
for me because the boat needs to go to the reputable guy.
Yeah.
It's sitting in Charleston. It's not really usable without sails. If it had sails, I could still use the boat. It's
You
not
could
damaged
you could
enough.
sell the
Yeah,
sailless boat.
exactly.
You can't
You
sell a
can't,
sailless
so-
boat. You have to sail the sails amongst.
Make a sale of the sails so that you can sail the boat with someone.
You need to
else.
get sold the sails to the sailboat to make a sail so that they
Yes.
can then sail.
or sell.
Sailor
Their
sail
sail.
the sailless sailor boat.
Well, so I got a call from I called 3, they're called sail lofts. That's just the name that they use for manufacturers. And the prices were pretty crazy, but the biggest issue is the lead time.
Mhm,
One was 16 weeks. The other, which is a local Charleston company called North Sails, was only 8 weeks. So it was getting a little better, but that's still 2 months. So that's kind of what I was going to have to go with. So
Yeah.
I was supposed to call that guy this morning and finalize the deal, give him a credit card number, blah, blah, to the tune of like $7,000 for these 2
Wow.
sails.
Yeesh.
How big are the sails?
They're very big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Like
been on
50
the boat.
feet?
I've been on the boat. It's good
50
size,
square
man.
feet, 100 square feet,
1,500 square feet.
1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
You're close. Yep.
50 feet tall, 30 feet wide, cut in a triangle or
Yeah.
triangular
Okay.
shape. So last night I got a strange cell phone call from Stuart, Florida, which I know a couple of boat people down there, but it was like 7:00 last night. And it was the guy from that original sail company, which is where I wanted to order from, but they were on a 16-week hold. And he said he wasn't even the guy I was dealing with. I was dealing with this woman, Erin, and I know this is already a long story, but to shorten it a bit, he said, "Hey, I heard about your, issues with your 38. My boat's a 38 foot."
Uh-huh.
He said, "Aaron didn't know this, but I wanted to reach out." He said, "We had a guy in the Cayman Islands with a 44-foot island packet who ordered 2 new head sails.
Oh,
And he gave us the wrong measurements. He gave us the measurements to a 40-foot, because the bigger the boat, the bigger the sails.
that's what I always say.
So this guy screwed up, and he gave the company the wrong measurements. They built the sails. They shipped them to the Cayman Islands before they realized this.
Oh my!
They were too
goodness.
short. I mean, he could have used them, but they
Sure,
were, hundreds of square feet too small. So he ended up shipping them back. It was his fault, not the company's.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what happened with that. They made him the right sales, but these things just went into like the warehouse.
Oh, brand
And-
new.
So a 38-foot boat and a 40-foot boat are like 2 inches difference on the size of the sails.
Hmm.
So he called me and he said, "These will completely work on your boat. And I'll sell them to you for half price.
Oh,
And I'll
what?
ship them tomorrow."
That's wow. That's
And
even better.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
sheesh.
So
I was about to say, don't tell me that that's exactly
and then there's
something you're looking for.
The bigger thing, and this is why I think it was like the stars were perfectly in alignment for this, was every sail, the head sails, if you want to put the sail away,
Yeah.
it's called a furling system, right? So you pull on this rope and the thing that the sail's attached to will spin and
Yep.
it coils the sail up.
right.
Because you can't, we're talking about a huge mass.
That's why
You're gonna fold
that's why
it
you
really
see,
fast,
like the
you know?
billows, almost like a curtain
Yeah, totally.
on
And-
the part that's at the right angle.
yeah, the boom. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
boom.
so there you know another
this is
word
a
now.
boom.
yeah, Joe's
same
beating
as
up
this.
the audio equipment.
So mine isn't that way. Mine furls up into the system, so it's neat and tidy. But when you do that, you have a section of the sail that's always exposed to sun and weather.
Yeah,
So what they do on the like that leading edge of the sail that ends up still showing,
Exposed.
they put what's called they put sun protection on there, and the fabric is Sunbrella, just the big company Sunbrella, and they stitched that a 2-foot wide section all the way up the edge of the sail there. which is exposed to the sun. So Sunbrella makes these sun covers or the fabric in like every color in the rainbow.
Is it attached to the sail?
It's actually sewn
Or is it
onto the
on the boom?
dacron of this. No, it's
Okay.
attached to the sail, like stitched like crazy. And it's an accent piece, so it's protecting your sail. But usually, what people do is they match that to
the whole color
yeah, so
scheme.
you got like the brown and different tones.
Which yours has that like
cream
tiki kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
So you know the cover over the cockpit, the sun cover, which is called a bimini, it's gray. You know, it's that kind of mid-tone
I
gray
remember.
color.
Yeah,
So usually when you attach this sunbrella, you stitch it so much that it's not something you want to take off.
yeah, it's part of it
and
permanently.
replace. If you do, you just have a whole bunch of holes in your sail, and if they put a new one on, they're probably not going to match those holes up.
They'd have to
and,
trim it, maybe.
Because
You can't change the dimensions that much. I
yeah,
would
no, you
imagine.
can't really.
Yeah, you're
So
kinda out of luck
the
there.
lucky thing was is
Yeah.
the guy said to me, he said the only factor in this is the color of your Bimini and Dodger. Like,
Or
do you
neon
want-
zebra.
Yeah.
Already on there.
He said, 'cause,
Leopard.
right. I've seen that. I've seen people do go out of their way to do really
Yeah,
strange
sure.
things.
would be like. Don't tell me it matches your.
It's an
Setup.
exact match.
Wow.
I
Oh.
said my Bimini and Dodger and my mainsail sunbrella is cadet gray, which is the color I ordered from Sunbrella. And he just kind of laughed and he's like, that's exactly what it is.
What?
Now I will say it's not an uncommon color,
Uh-huh.
Right,
but it's not
right.
the most common. The most common is like a seafoam green or
And you
blue.
said people get them custom all the time too.
Sure.
They get them all different colors. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was fully meant to be.
Did this happen? And you said this happened yesterday?
This was last night. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool.
I called Danny right away and I'm like, you're not going to, because Danny's coming with me to sail the boat in Florida. We're going to actually go. So we're going to go for 2 weeks.
Do you fish? Do you
I
do
do.
deep sea fishing with it and everything?
You can't cross an ocean without throwing a line out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been out on the ocean.
Oh really?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, not on a boat in the ocean. I've swam in the ocean a bunch of times, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, but you've
the
never
Gulf.
been like 100 miles out of the
No,
ocean
no.
or more.
I don't think I want to. I have a fear of the abyss.
Yeah.
You know?
You wouldn't do well then.
Yeah, like being on the water, I don't get seasick or anything like that. I love the water. I'm like a fish in the water,
Yeah.
with all that. But like if I get in the ocean and I can't
Like you
understand how deep it is,
it starts getting.
then that's when the panic sets in.
Okay.
My
Yep.
son Lincoln deals with some stuff like that every now and then
That's
too.
interesting.
Just like
Yeah.
if you can look and on a bright day you can see hundreds of feet, but you still can't see the bottom.
Yeah.
And then also not just the depth of it, but the width. And you're like, I am in the abyss of
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. The
but
vastness
water.
of that. I agree with that. I think everyone has a fear of that. It just depends on how
Sure. Yeah.
on the surface it is. I think if you,
So I'm a
the thing about
pansy.
it,
You're like, just a
Thanks,
matter of if
Greg.
you vocalize it or not.
Thanks for bringing that to the service, Greg. I'm glad we had this chat.
well, so, here's the thing on a sailboat, you are so busy doing work
Yeah.
that you don't have
Plus,
time
you're not
to
in
think
the
about-
water. I like I said, if I'm above the water,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. But like,
If you're like floating there.
if I like went off the side or like, hey, got to pull up this line, get in the water.
yeah.
I'd be like, as long as I'm like tethered to the boat or something,
Sure.
like the old school divers with that hose thing, just put one of those on me. I'll be fine.
Dragging Ken along the bottom of the ocean. I love it, guys. Oh man.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I don't love it out there either, but it's when
Is
you,
it more about the boat for you than the ocean?
no, it's about,
In other words, you mean in a good way? Like
Yeah,
since
like
it
what's
is
the
about
most
the boat.
What's the most enjoyable part about sailing for you?
the feeling of freedom. I think I mean, I love all boats, but I think, I was attracted to sailboats. I lived on one in LA when I was in my early 20s, and, being out there and going, you're going, say 5 to 8 knots, which is,
Nautical miles.
The equivalency is fairly close to miles per hour. But to do that with no engine on, it's on a sailboat, you get out there, you raise the sails, the engine's propelling you, you catch some wind, you turn that diesel engine off, and it's just water.
Yep.
Moving water. It's just like why people go rent a cabin next to a babbling brook,
Sure. Yeah.
and they just sit out there and listen to that. And people have sleep machines that they do, water and beach and streams and this and that. It's the same effect, but it is encompassing you.
Have you ever been in a storm?
Oh yeah. We,
have you ever been scared for your life?
Well, you're bringing up
the
stuff
storm?
that I know is intense. I mean, I've heard some of the stories with my buddies out with Greg, and
Joe went sailing on the boat. I saw some pictures.
I wouldn't.
It was pretty light, and you're probably
we were
thinking
still
of
in the harbor.
You're thinking of a different
thing
too. I went with Danny.
Were you on a small dinghy, Joe?
Oh, you're on the lake. Yeah,
I was on a lake for that one. Yeah.
I can do lakes.
Yeah, it's a totally different world. It's funny though with the thing you were talking about, kind of the fear of the abyss and whatnot. I would rather float in an ocean that I know is 15,000 feet deep than float in a lake that's 40 feet deep that I can't see the bottom. Like,
okay, how come? That's an interesting combination.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just due to kind of the laws of averages of what's going to be beneath you. You're
sure.
You're out
it's much more dense.
The chances of something swimming by you in the ocean is a lot less than something.
Well, see, the problem is that there are creatures in the ocean that do not exist in the lake. Like you might get some bass nipping at your nipple or something like that. That happened to me a billion times. Like, ow, fish bite you.
There's no great whites though.
Yeah, there's or like
giant squid
or like that freaky thing they saw at the bottom of the of like a miner. Did you see that thing? That thing was like 200 feet long. And it looked like a squid, but it had right angle tentacles that went down for forever. Yes. Just like the vastness of like
that thing.
Really is now
funky,
bigger than me at all. Like you can't get away from it if it wanted to get to you or something like that.
I thought that Greg might be going this way. Maybe this is part of it too. But for instance, some people ask me like, aren't you freaked out to do those big stadiums and everything? Mm-hmm. And I'll do like a halftime show for an NFL game, for instance. Right. Yeah. But my distance,
world renowned.
Oh goodness. But my distance from where I actually am at, so let's say the 50 to the first bit of crowd that I can actually make out, like seeing who they are.
Okay.
Is really different. So I kind of have a similar thought. Those are actually some of the easier ones sometimes, not always.
Sure. Because you're almost alone.
Exactly. And then I go to like a smaller, maybe charity event where they're at their tables, where if I like fall off the stage, I literally land on their table. They can see the
scuffs on your shoes. Yeah, close.
And you can hear them whispering. You can hear, you know what I mean? It's a different feeling altogether. And in a lake, it's almost like all those things compress. And so I kind of get what he's saying. Like there's almost this level of like, well, you can't change anything with the big version. Like you're in it and you're out there so far. It's like, yeah, so I've accepted it. Like,
sure.
Whereas with a lake, you're like, you could literally be seeing the shore and be like, like I know it.
See, but we grew up on the Great Lakes, which are practically ocean.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, they still got waves.
They have their own weather systems.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I grew up in Wisconsin and was at Lake Michigan, on vacation.
He's been on the lakes. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One of the best salmon I've ever caught was on Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those are freshwater too, so that was like way more pleasant than getting all the salt.
Yeah, you get
your eye visuals and your mouth. And is this ocean really salty?
It's funny. Like going back to what it is for me. One of my favorite kind of scenes from a movie, which Forrest Gump is just an all time favorite of mine. But when Captain or Lieutenant Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Is out there on the boat and he's got no legs and they're not catching any shrimp. And you've seen
spoiler.
Spoiler. The movie's like 400 years old. So if you haven't seen it, I won't answer that question.
No, keep going. We got Dan.
So Captain Dan is
Captain
out on this shrimp trawler, and a weather system comes in, and he's like climbs up, pulls himself up the mast, and is in the crow's nest, and he's just yelling at God like, "Bring it on," kind of thing, and he does bring it on, and
it's like a Moby Dick.
Kind of got that.
It's such an existential, like, I don't know if that's the right word or not, just a moment. Like to have that moment. You feel that on a sailboat, especially when the weather does come in. I mean, you aren't closer to God at any other point than out in the ocean with 50-mile-an-hour winds in a sailboat.
So what do you do when the winds come? Do you close the sails? Let her run.
It just depends. There's
let her run true.
Some do.
Just to not fight it and create more stress on the mast.
Yeah, that's your whole
in the aft.
In the aft mast,
the
which
poop,
is not
the
even a
poop
thing.
deck. What's going on with the poop deck
poop
at this
deck.
point?
You got to scrub the poop deck. That's
okay. Sorry.
You make your sails less, so you basically decrease the surface area of the mast either by furling them or lowering them.
But then you still have control. You still can.
You
use
still
the
have full
wind
control. To
move.
Yep.
It's just a lot more.
You go super fast.
You do.
Yeah.
So every boat has a designed hull speed. So it's what the manufacturer says. This boat is safe. Like if you go beyond the hull speed,
the hull integrity will fail.
We have
potentially.
Don't call us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the hull speed on my boat is like 10 knots, which is really fast on a sailboat. I mean, it's not.
That's moving a little bit for a sailboat.
Big, heavy sailboat like mine. Mine's definitely an ocean-going sailboat. Now the coastal cruisers or the race sailboats or the catamarans.
Yeah.
They'll definitely.
You've seen those where they have like the legs sticking out.
Yeah,
and they're floating, and they're
the outriggers, and they're up like
they're
this.
like on the side,
and they're going.
That's not Greg. Greg
flying.
isn't doing that. He's got the wide.
He passes them, hanging out of the back, floating.
That would be hilarious.
Just
now, really quick. So if I remember right, the model that we were on that you have. It's a little bit wider base than
it's
a
much
super
wider.
Much wider. How wide was it again?
So, for the size boat, and it's one of the reasons that attracted me to. So Island Packet is a boat that I've wanted since I went to a boat show in Los Angeles, in Long Beach in 2001. I don't know how old I was, 22, 23. And I went to this sailboat show and I walked on an Island Packet. And this is actually kind of funny. So I walked on this boat and it was actually a 45-footer. I mean, it was literally a condo on the water. It was just the most amazing thing. And I just wanted to live on it. And I thought, and this was a, $680,000 boat. So it was a pipe dream. But I did say to my friend Michael, who was with me, who lives here also, I said, one day I'm going to own an Island Packet. Maybe not this one, but I will.
That's cool.
So when this came up for sale like two years ago, it was just, again, a meant to be thing. The price was unbelievable. It was a little early for us. My wife and I have plans to spend some time on the water when the kids are in college. The funny thing is when I bought this boat, the one I have now, I joined the Facebook group because obviously there's a Facebook group for everything. But the resources are amazing and the wisdom and everything else. There's a few thousand people.
It's the new forums now.
Yeah, exactly. So I joined and I posted some photos and I said, hey, I'm new to the group. Thanks so much, blah, blah. And I actually got a phone call the next day from a Florida number that I've never seen, didn't even know what city it was from. It just said Florida, actually, yeah. And the woman, I answered the phone, and her name is escaping right now, but she introduced herself, and she said, my name's so-and-so. I wanted to call and congratulate you on your Island Packet and let you know if there's anything you need to call us. And, this is my personal cell. You can call anytime. And it turns out her and her husband own Island Packet. They own the company.
What? Okay.
So and she sent me all these, like, she sent me basically a goodie bag of all this random stuff.
So it's like pretty exclusive.
It's very exclusive.
Club
So it's
to be an Island Packet owner.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not meaning to be braggadocious about that, but
no, but it's special.
it is.
It's,
It's
yeah, it's really personal.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's musical instruments that are
There's
that way.
there's some other plane people that I know, like who have gotten into certain jet
Yeah.
groups or
Yeah.
plane, and that seems similar too. By the
Yeah.
way, sounded. I also have a friend who's
Same way with cars, man.
yeah, with cars.
I mean,
I was
people are
just
so
gonna say,
divided on cars.
Yep.
You know, in a good way. Like people just, you know, they love Mazdas.
Yeah.
Like the little Miata group that goes on.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I kind of understand it because I'm in like the import world. You know, with my Z or whatever, I love that world, like the 240s and the 300s and GTRs and you know that kind of stuff. I love that. But yeah, you're right because once you're in that club,
Yeah.
you get a level of respect maybe that
You do, I think, and you know,
Wasn't there
they're
before.
when I say they're a legacy builder, they've been around. You know, they're not 100-year-old boat builder. They've been around since I think late '60s, early '70s. I forget the guy's name who started the company. It was his design and everything.
or are they all recreational?
They're recreational, yeah, as opposed
Okay.
to what commercial.
Yeah,
or-
like utilitarian. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
they're
they're
not
all-
in like fishing trolleys or
no
tugboats or anything like that.
No, they literally build sailboats only. And
I'm like hanging by a thread of like knowledge right now.
well, you're learning, right? You're
Yeah,
learning a
this
few
is-
things.
yeah.
You know what a boom is now?
And
At
then
least
aft.
Yeah, you
And
knew
the
aft.
poop deck.
So they
Oh.
they build boats by hand. There's no real like computerization.
Oh,
right,
okay.
right.
Tough word.
Yeah.
Handcrafted.
You know, there's CAD design and this and that, but yeah,
Sure.
everything's done in molds. It's done by hand, and a lot of boat builders still do that. They're not considered a production builder.
Okay.
So you have these other boats called like one is
They're not
called
mass
Catalina.
produced.
They're
Oh,
not mass produced.
yeah.
If you called Island Packet right now and said I would like to order a sailboat, any size, they make multiple. You would wait 2 years
Wow.
for your boat to be done.
Or you got to buy one that's already been built.
Or you buy an old one like that. You know, mine's 30
Yeah.
years old, but it you would think it was
Yeah, that thing looks
5
beautiful.
years old.
Yeah.
It's
Huh.
they're just built to last, and they're ocean going. They're considered blue water cruisers.
Okay.
You know, there's definitely a lot of sailboats that are the terminology is it, you know, blue water cruiser or a coastal cruiser. So a coastal cruiser is just built in such a way, you know, they jokingly say it's kind of like, especially the interiors, they're kind of like the RVs or the IKEA of
Okay.
sailboats where, you know, mine is you walk in it and you're like, where's the steak and cigars? It's like solid wood. It
Yeah.
just, it feels
Oh, that was my next. That's where I was going to go next.
Yeah.
Is what is the interior
all
design of it?
teak.
Okay.
It feels very,
What does it have in it? That's a pretty big.
yeah, I mean,
Oh, it's got everything.
Big thing, right?
Yeah, two, well, bedrooms, we'll call it for
Uh-huh.
this case, but staterooms is really what the term is. 2 staterooms, 2 heads, 2 bathrooms, 2 showers. I mean, it's a little galley kitchen.
And everything's a little compact, of course.
Right,
It's not
right.
like, you know.
it's designed around.
But
the-
it comes, what I
it's all
found really
designed
cool is
together.
it came with all the little things that you don't normally see. Like little covers for the sink or this or that to like lock things down,
oh
right?
sure,
Yeah.
Because you know things are going to move. And
Yeah,
yet
'cause
it's ready
a
to go.
blue
Yeah,
water,
blue water
cruiser.
cruiser.
Good job.
Right.
Yes. So well done.
So
and it has an aft,
and you
Yeah,
have to
and a-
clean the poop deck.
and it has 2 staterooms, 2 heads, 2 showers,
yeah, which is,
Yeah.
you know, in a 38-foot boat.
and you have the diesel engine, so that would generate electricity if you need it, right?
Yeah, I have lithium battery banks, so
Oh,
that
okay.
lasts a while. I've got solar connections. I haven't mounted the solar panels yet, but yeah, the diesel engine has a oversized alternator, so
Yeah,
you know, 1 hour of running that engine will completely fill up the lithium.
pretty self-sustaining, and that's part of the freedom you're talking about too.
Exactly.
Because it's like you're completely self-sustained in your own world
Yep.
that moves wherever you want to go.
And then you can
Right.
go fishing, cook some fish, and you
Yeah,
got
and I mean,
food
I'm
and-
not, you know, I don't have this on it yet. If it's something that we end up keeping this boat for a few more years and we do go off and sail for a year or two, we would probably get one, but they have water makers,
Oh
there's-
yeah.
and we don't have one. They're pretty pricey, but
Yeah.
I don't know how they work, but
They're like
yeah.
desalinators.
Essentially,
kind
yeah,
of a thing,
miniature
right?
desalinators,
Yep.
and
Or you just do the life straw
You
I don't
see
think
Greg
you do that with
bent
that.
over the
and just drink
boats.
it. No, apparently, have you guys seen those?
Oh, the
Yes.
life straw.
I've-
Like
Yeah,
they'll go into like a muddy
Yeah.
crater and just drink straight out of it.
but I don't
It's
think
not-
it's salt water. I think it's only dirty
Okay.
fresh water. Right?
Yeah.
because
It can't desalinate it.
no, because
Ah.
even a like a 0.3 micron, I think, which is military grade
Yeah.
filters,
It still goes
it's
through it
salt goes through it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because it's not a solution; it's a compound, or is it the other way
you
around?
lost me there.
I can't
right.
remember. Because
The-
if it's
the salt-
if the atoms are if the molecules are bonded, they're much tinier than if it's a solution where it's just sitting inside of the water.
Sure,
Don't know.
Yes.
Don't know.
Sounds
There's
really,
a there's
really
a name
smart.
for that. It's settled. It is saturated. It is, dang it, what's the word?
Yeah, saturated
not-
solution,
it's not any of
super
those.
saturated
Something
when you
like
get
that.
hot. and
Well,
then-
that's how they make tea, and they heat it up and stir it.
yeah,
to
that's super
ensure-
saturation.
Okay, super
Because
saturation.
when you heat up a liquid, the molecules get farther apart
and they
and you can-
accept
and
the
they accept
nuance.
more.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's how you make like the little crystals when you're a kid. You put a little string in there, you boil it
Yep.
with a ton of sugar or salt. Salt works way better. And then when it cools, all the excess salt has to go somewhere and it crystallizes on
That's
the little
right.
string.
on the start string.
yeah, that's how they make rock candy.
That's
Yep.
right. I
Yep.
remember that from elementary school. We did that
Yeah.
in science class.
Yeah,
that was fun.
yeah, it was really cool.
Okay.
Well, this has been fun. I've learned so much.
Oh,
honestly,
let's
I really
review.
have.
Let's
We didn't talk
review.
anything about art, man. We
Yeah,
talked about,
that's episode 2.
sailboat.